Agenda aside, this is one of the best chapters of the Gojo vs Sukuna legendary fight. We know Gojo has the infinity bag, but Sukuna's bag is real deep. It's the nigga this is mine now bag, cause 10 Shadows is really shown to be how versatile and dangerous it could really be. Hopefully one day we can see Megumi, finally reach that potential and do some of the things Sukuna's doing, which for a first year, it's still pretty crazy, guys. I can't wait, but let's get into the fight. Off rip, this chapter, in my opinion, showed us something very important that I don't think some people picked up on. Thanks to Shogo's explanation, Gojo is taking longer to heal his wounds due to the fatigue and damage his brain is sustaining over using reversal red so much. Not to mention Red's output is dropping as well. We got a glimpse at the mental edge Sukuna has over Gojo. The narrator states all throughout the idea to be in some respects impossible. The idea of Gojo losing flooded their minds. The same thought struck Gojo. Anytime the thought of losing a battle, or even in the real world, a sporting game or an event, you start to overthink or in some cases doubt yourself. Now we know Gojo was different. He isn't one to doubt his abilities no matter what the obstacle is, but this is the first time since Toji mopped him in their first initial battle. That same battle that gave Gojo his very first taste of defeat and feeling of defeat. Even though we all remember how he felt once round 2 came around. The feeling of satisfaction he's feeling again from being the strongest and the loneliness that comes with it is being met by the King of Curses, someone who never thinks of defeat in battle. Even when he got hit with Black Flash or when he got struck in Unlimited Void, we never got any panel or idea or even a thought of Sukuna losing. Gojo is launching a reversal red, but he's reciting the incantations before doing so in an attempt to increase the output. He did this on a sneak attack hollow purple where Utahime, Gakuganji, and Gojo recite the incantations, hand signs, and instruments. It's always interesting that this has been a thing in Jujutsu, but we didn't know about it until this fight. It makes you wonder if other characters will use the incantations for power boosts or maybe an increase in output. If you can use the incantations for maybe even a stronger domain expansion, that's something I think will be interesting to see going forward, as this feels like the traditional sense of using Jujutsu sorcery. Now Sukuna uses Rabbit Escape to rest in the shadows, and Gojo aims red point blank at the shadow where Sukuna would be at, and it's still crazy to think that Rabbit Escape of all the shadows and 10 shadows will even be useful in a battle between the strongest characters. Now with Mahoraga being on the offense, this is adapted to infinity. Sukuna for the first time is playing a better support role than anything with Mahoraga as the lead, even throwing a fucking fire extinguisher to create a diversion for Mahoraga to attack. Now Gege's environmental usage in fights is something other mangas they honestly need to take note. No dick suck, but come on now. Between JJK and Sakamoto days currently going on, nothing is really touching these current battle manga like those two. And even seeing something like a fire extinguisher used in a fight like this is kind of comical but really logical at the same time. Now Gege almost made me jump out of my chair reading this part, because Sukuna clapped his hands together as if he was using piercing blood. And even Choso reacted because he for a second thought that Sukuna was going to launch blood. I thought for the life of me that Sukuna had blood manipulation this whole time when he clapped his hands and was just chilling with it the whole time. Just imagine if he actually had that. Sukuna was gonna have the deepest bag in JJK by far if he had that. But this wasn't blood, this was Max Elephant's water, also letting us know that Sukuna has the knowledge of blood manipulation as well in the Noritoshi clan. It's a clever cameo to add the third clan of the big 3 clans in this fight. It's officially a 2-1 now because, it's JJK, not a samurai manga where we respect the 1v1. We win by any means necessary. Look at some of the bigger fights in JJK. A lot of them didn't have no let's be honorable fight type feel. Gojo even credits Sukuna saying he's as handy as he is. I think Crafty would have fit better, but here's what it is. Sukuna cannot use Shrine and 10 Shadows unless Sukuna can apply it externally to his domain. So Sukuna will primarily for now use 10 Shadows in the fight. Gojo is completely fine with this since Mahoraga has adapted to infinity. It won't pluck away at every other tool that Gojo has, every other adaptation of his technique. And Sukuna lets Gojo know that, yeah, this ain't a 2-on-1 my boy, this is a 3-on-1, a true jumping Kaisen, New Age Totality Fusion Beast Agito. Using the 10 Shadows extension technique of combining the Shadow Shikigami, Sukuna fused New Way with Demon Dog's claws and the legs, I believe. And I used to think it was the Madoka deer with the antlers, but I guess it's not. That would have gave it some RCT, that would have been a cool little buff, but it's only New Way and Demon Dog, which is probably why the body is so huge. and it definitely looks pretty monstrous. We didn't get to see the new way actually do as much, but I'm curious as to if the new way can still use its lightning attributes. We see the claws and the body, and since we all know those claws scratch special grade's economy, so it's obviously powerful. This was definitely jaw dropping. I don't think anyone expected us to see that during this fight. And they just proceed to jump Gojo, and these hallway panels of Agito and Maharaga chasing Gojo is amazing. Map is gonna have their hands full with animating this portion, because I can smell 3D CG coming, but knowing that it's gonna look pretty good. And Sukuna emerges from the shadows, attacking Gojo from his blind spot specifically. This is truly why 10 Shadows has the biggest potential out of all the big 3 clans. Sukuna attacking, but still having 2, we can presume, with Maharaga. Agito's a special grade level curse chasing after Gojo. Which Gojo was still able to read, because you can read curse energy, you can follow attacks. And Gojo launches a point blank red at Maharaga. Maharaga tanks it, and just like we expected, the more Maharaga takes a certain technique, the adaptation works faster as time progresses. If Gojo were to continue using red, eventually Maharaga would just brush off the attack the more he kept using. And the Honored One has no choice but to launch what we all knew was going to be boiled down to Hollow Purple. This is going to be the hardest Hollow Purple he will ever have to use, because he's getting jumped by 3 beams. He's got to be able to charge this thing up somehow. But by the smile on the face of Gojo, he must have like a secret plan in order to launch this thing, his second most powerful attack in his arsenal, and see if he can erase Maharaga and Agito. Phenomenal follow up from the chapter that we had last week. It feels like this just keeps getting better and better and better. We're seeing so many things. Now we gotta see how can Gojo get past these 3 monsters. And man, I'm really excited, because even in this chapter, it feels like there are things that are still to come. Like one more surprise. Now we know all of Gojo, but there's still some things that Sukuna hasn't even fully used yet. And with Gojo building up Hollow Purple, since that's really his only option left, it really has everyone, even us, thinking, can he do it? Can he do what is now even viewed as the impossible? Is getting past Maharaga, Agito, and Sukuna with Hollow Purple. One thing I do think is, I feel like he is going to get the ability off, but it's not going to go the way he thinks. I don't think that he's going to be able to beat Maharaga with Hollow Purple, because I feel like Sukuna might actually assist Maharaga in getting rid of the Hollow Purple, and then kind of leaving Gojo to just fend for himself. He's going to have to fight barehanded, and maybe use laps at this point in between the fight. I don't think it's going to work, and I don't think it's going to play out. Not to mention, Sukuna hasn't even used his open box thing. We got the fire arrow, and I'm really interested to see when Gojo stated that Sukuna didn't have 10 shadows applied to his domain externally. Is this foreshadowing that we're actually going to see Sukuna do that? And we're going to either see him use 10 shadows in simultaneous with the shrines cleave and dismantle. And one thing I've always wondered with this whole thing is it possible for in the shrine, the malevolent shrine domain expansion, can Sukuna add 10 shadows attributes, or I guess the entirety of 10 shadows within his domain? Is that possible to fuse 2 domain expansions into one, making one mega domain expansion? Is that possible, or is that just not going to happen because maybe there's too much curse energy that it would need to be applied to even be able to use something like that? And even for him to be able to try to attempt it, I feel like Maharaga would not have to be in the plans and out actually, because it feels like it's just too much for Sukuna to use. Now we know he has way more curse energy than someone like Yuta, but still I don't know. That's one thing I want to see him try, is combining 2 domains. That's the end of this chapter review. Great chapter. Also, to everybody, I think at this point everybody has checked out this new Shibuya trailer that is dropped. I think it's fantastic. That looks beautiful. I cannot wait till next week for Shibuya to finally be animated. It's almost gonna sound weird. It's like a dream come true for real. One of the greatest shonen arcs ever created finally been on the screen, man. Can't wait. Also, check out the anonymous video I posted recently, kind of like an anonymous character analysis, character appreciation too at the same time. Go ahead, check that out. Check out the second channel as well. I'm on the One Piece journey, but there's gonna be more stuff coming on in there as well. I'm trying to just get One Piece out the way. I ain't gonna lie, I did see some peak stuff in there. I'll holler at y'all in the next one.